Welcome to Influence, a College of Agriculture and Life Sciences program. I'm your host, Dr. Lacey Roberts. And today I have with us Dr. Shakoya White and Gabby Hidalgo with the Department of Food Science, Health, Nutrition, and Health Promotion, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks. You got to keep me in check there. Welcome. It's so great to have you in our studio.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Dr. White, tell us a little bit about yourself and your program and what you're doing here at Mississippi State.
So like you said, I am from the Food Science Department. I've been at Mississippi State almost 3 years. I teach several classes: food law, quality assurance, manners leadership, advanced food micro, so quite a few of the of the classes within our department. My research focuses on microbial food safety, so my background is in food microbiology.
Wow, that is fascinating. Okay, so you're very, very busy.
Very busy.
All right. Gabby, you are a grad student in the same program,
Yes.
so tell us a little bit about yourself and your research.
Well, I started a year ago in fall 2020. I'm a master's student of Dr. White's master's student. And of course, my focus is going to be food microbiology.
Makes sense.
My research concerns catfish and incidence of Escherichia coli with other indicators. So it's basically seeing like the effects of the season and if there's going to be any microbial loads depending on the seasons and perhaps the occurrence during the day.
Okay, wow, and catfish, that's a very big product in Mississippi. I was doing some research on the ag products from Mississippi,
Yes.
so there's some really big impact there that you guys are doing with what Mississippians eat.
Right, so we're trying
Yes.
to focus on some of those Mississippi commodities. We're also using, with some of the research, so she's doing catfish, we're also looking at pre and post-harvest of produce related to Mississippi and trying to figure out what antimicrobials we can use because consumers are pushing more for natural, so we're trying to test some of those natural products to extend shelf life.
Wonderful. And so for your microbiology kind of research, I'm sure that there's a lab that you guys are working out of. What other kind of activities are happening in the lab?
Well, we play around with a lot of things. Exactly. It's hard to say. So one day we can be working with blueberries, we're working with catfish, looking at strawberries.
Yes.
So yeah, the great thing about our lab, we have the ability to work on any type of product. So next week we'll be working with goats and lambs. So
Wow, that is awesome. That keeps you kind of busy and also exciting because you're doing lots of different things in your program. So does that mean that students that come in their classes, they get to experience some of those different sciences? Because you said you teach food law and some other microbiology, right?
Yeah, so through the classes they get some of that lab, hands-on lab experience. They also have opportunities within our department to work with me. So right now I've hired several undergraduate students who are working with me this summer. So we're throwing them in everything. So we even have a mycology class where we're going looking for mushrooms and identifying mold on different food products.
Wow, that is so fun. Do you get to help with those classes, Gabby?
Not so much, but right now we have a project that's going on with blueberries and we're using chlorine dioxide treatments to see the difference between a control group that doesn't have any chlorine dioxide treatment and compared to other blueberries, depending on the concentration of chlorine dioxide, and seeing how many days shelf life it occurs.
So Dr. White has you in the lab a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's how you get some really great research done. So I know that you talked about there's some really great ways for students to be hands-on. What are some other activities in your department? I know that your program is well known for being a place where students can be very active in what they're learning. Are there any other examples that you have of some hands-on?
Right, so we have different organizations. So we have the Food Science Club where they can come in and they can compete in product development competitions. I actually had 2 of my students this past semester. They placed 3rd at the Research Chef Association competition for product development. We also have the Pipetting Team, which is an organization that some of my undergraduate students, we worked on over the summer, and they came up with this idea. They're like, hey, we need to have an organization for this, because the first skill they have to learn before they come to lab is how to use a pipette.
Of course.
So we started that organization. So it's you don't have to be a food science major, you can be any major, you can do business, but if you want to learn some of those laboratory skills, that's also an opportunity for students to do that.
So cool. It makes me want to go back to school and do that. That is so fascinating. Awesome. Well, so Gabby, a question that I usually ask of graduate students is, what are ways that you are involved in the program, but also do you have any advice that you could say for students that are interested in coming to Mississippi State for the food science program? Is there any kind of advice that you'd like to give to other students?
Well, my advice would be to be very consistent in their work, to be organized, because sometimes between classes and working at a lab, it can be very overwhelming. And to be very disciplined in what you're doing.
Okay.
Just to keep track of everything.
Very disciplined, yeah, because I'm sure that you're spending a lot of time in classes, but in lab, and you're having to manage a lot of that.
And I also have student workers, so I also have to supervise what they're doing and the projects that we're doing, just making sure that they're doing the proper techniques and just building those relationships.
Wow, so you're getting some really great experience. So I'm assuming, and you may correct me, are you in a PhD program?
Master's program.
Wow, and you have some undergraduate researchers that are with you, is that?
Yes.
Wow, that is an amazing opportunity for you to have as a master's student, getting some of that experience as a faculty member, right? Yes. Having to do your own projects, but make sure that those are under you that are learning and experiencing, but also, you know, not destroying the lab, right?
No, exactly. But they're great help, and it's very time efficient because microbiology takes a lot of dedication and time, especially when you're processing.
Okay. Well, so Dr. White, you know, she's talking about there's a lot of processes in microbiology. What do you see some of your students do after they leave the program? Because I'm sure that there's a wide variety that they can do once they leave this food science, nutrition, and there's that health promotion side. So do you know of some of the things that your students are doing?
So a lot of our students end up going into quality. Some of my students right now, unfortunately, but I can say fortunately, they come from other departments. So I have microbiology students working in the lab. We have some food science students. So through food science, like I said, several of our students are microbiology students. They didn't know that there's food microbiology. So they're learning to see a different side of food microbiology. So most of the students, I don't know if it's just me, but they're like, I want to do a master's now. So a lot of it is just me telling them what their avenues. You can go into academia, you can go into the industry, but a lot of students will go into quality assurance or product development. They can go into business. There's a whole bunch of people who want startups. So food science is one of those avenues because, I mean, if you look now, there's so many startups for different food products at this point.
Okay, so we're talking about small businesses that are saying, oh, I have a new food bar that I want to produce that's made of a certain product. So your students are able to go in and do some quality assurance, quality control, saying, okay, if we're going to do this safely for people to consume your product, you need to, you know, and they would go through a large amount of regulations and I'm sure some rules of this needs to be baked at however long, because they know the background of if it's not, here's some of the things that could grow or be unhealthy.
Right, and with food science, we offer several programs like HACCP, we have Serve Safe, and then we also have PCQI training so that our students can go out and apply for those jobs and they already have those certifications. So.
Wow, okay, so tell me a little bit more about those. Do students, are students only able to take those if they're in your department? Or
no, it is open to everyone.
Okay.
So yep, you just have to make the time to do it, but they're always available.
Okay, so say, you know, my background is at communications. Say there's a student that is interested in communicating those different food safety protocols and things. So they may not have that background in microbiology, but they could get some of those certifications.
Yes, they could.
Okay, and that could be beneficial to say, you know, looking at food safety from a different lens,
right.
I think. Awesome. You guys have so much going on. That's so cool. Okay. So, Gabby, a little bit more of a personal question. You're doing a master's degree. What are you wanting to do after you leave?
Well, I've always focused on food microbiology, and I find that interesting. I actually get excited when we do plate counting and actually find something in my research, which is good for me, but probably not good for wherever I'm finding that source.
Right. Well, we like healthy food.
Yes, exactly. But I also participated last semester in the cheese contest, Mayfest cheese contest.
Okay.
So we had to create a product from the cheese that we chose, the 4 cheeses that we chose, and I actually liked that part. So probably product development could also be an avenue for me when I graduate.
So you could be creating some of those new products we eat down the line.
Yes.
What product did you make out of cheese? I'm curious.
It's called arepa, so it's a Venezuelan dish, but it could be similar to like tacos or a sandwich, but so I just used that cheese inside of the dough. But it was like cheese-filled arepa.
You're making me hungry right now. That sounds delicious. Okay, well, I'll be looking out for those in the future, you know, a line of them. That would be so cool.
Yes.
So, you know, there's just so many things happening. I definitely want to come and visit your department. There's just seems like there's some really cool things that students get to experience.
Yes.
Dr. White, for students that are not sure what they want to do and this could be an avenue, what are some things that you might give them advice, like some programs that they could try, kind of test the waters?
Right.
Do you have some advice on some of those that they could try?
Well, so I have a first year experience course, and usually it's not food science students, so it's all the majors. So when they've come in their freshman year, they have opportunities, but when they come in as freshmen, I tell them, try to find out if you can get into a lab early. And some students are like, what, I'm only a freshman, how am I gonna do that? I'm like, you know, for us as faculty, I'm like, if you start freshman year and I have you for the next 4 years, great.
Yes. Oh yeah, because you would train them up the right way.
Exactly.
And they got the whole time.
Exactly. But yeah, like I said, a lot of the students that I've met, it's usually through word of mouth. They're like, hey, I've worked with Dr. White. For the students, like we've done stuff for FFA, we recently went to Jackson for the SR1 program, and we put on different food science stations. So that group is a summer program for K through 12. So we were showing them different avenues in food science, and with some of the things being able to watch virtual students this year, especially K through 12, I'm like, we got to reach them at an earlier age, and a lot of people don't know what food science is. So these are different avenues that we have for them. Lots of community engagement for the students. My goal is to build their resumes so that by the time you get out of here, you have a different story to tell than, you know, maybe some of those other people going up for those same jobs.
Makes them highly competitive as future employees.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, Dr. White and Gabby, thank you so much for being a part of today's program. This has been enlightening and so fun. We really appreciate having you here. And if you'll join us back again, we'll have another episode of Influence for you.